Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Horse Center. Ooh, for a minute there, you scared me, Jeremy.
Yeah, I know.
We got Jeremy Rose and Swiss Army Shawn as usual. Jeremy, good to see you riding again, man. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. Things are going decent.
Yeah, so you're hitting at a pretty good rate so far.
Yeah.
How is that? I mean, is it like riding a bike? Tell us how you got back to winning so easily.
Well, I'll tell you this. I basically started back at Delaware meet, I think June 1st. I went in the first race of the meet. Definitely wasn't fit. And then it was real slow for 2 or 3 weeks where I wasn't sure if I made the right decision. My agent and I talked a little bit, and neither of us were sure if that was the right idea to come back. But we stuck it out. And, a lot of our old clients, or my old clients that were friends, gave me another shot, and we started picking up, and winning brings more winning, just kind of a snowball effect. And now, it's going well.
So how does that, how does winning affect confidence, and then the confidence affect winning from a jockey standpoint?
Well, from my standpoint, I can't, speak for all jockeys, but I ride, to me, a lot better once I have confidence. So those 2 or 3 weeks, I didn't have a whole lot of confidence at all. Once you start winning, 1 every day, and then you throw in the 2 here and there, and you start riding better horses, you start getting confidence, then you ride, to me, like I used to.
I understand that. So in the interim, how do you pump yourself up, so to speak, when, you have even like baseball players, great baseball players, even the Yankees this year where they lost like 15 to 16 games or something like that. How do you handle those sort of cold streaks, if you will? What do you do to pump yourself up?
Well, I guess it's kind of one of those things at this point. And I've been in the game so long, I don't want to sound too old, but long enough that it's a roller coaster ride. There's 1 week where you win 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 races. Another week you may not win any, may not even hit the board. And then those horses circulate back, and you get your wins again. And then you build more business, better business, where it's more even keel, where it's not the highs and lows, it's more winner on average basis.
I see. So then today, you had a lot of mounts scheduled for today.
Yeah.
Maybe did one of your competitors pull the plug? What happened there?
Well, something either pulled the plug or somehow killed a transformer. Yeah, we had to cancel today. That we lost all power on the backside, and the bad part about that is our camera system is tied into the backside, and probably a bad idea to ride without cameras for everybody's safety and betting interest, the public, the stewards, everybody.
So you mean like the cameras that watch the horses on the track, or the ones that are in the backside to make sure that
the
people aren't sneaking out the good hay for the bad hay?
No, the ones like literally watching the race. Like if we had a claim of foul, you couldn't do anything about it. I mean, how are you gonna claim foul? You could drop 3 people and there's
or people taking shortcuts taking shortcuts like the one jockey did when it was foggy and nobody could see.
I know you're talking. I'm not gonna say the name. I'm friends with the friend, but yeah, I know you mean.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing. I mean, I wonder how that even crosses somebody's mind.
Well, the funny part is, if he would just waited and not won by, 25, he probably would have pulled it off. But he won by, he knocked 3 seconds off the track record or something.
Well, that's a good way to get it done.
Yeah,
no question, right?
Yeah,
well, they say the shortest route to any particular place is a straight line, right?
Yep.
Instead of making that left-hand turn. So I was reading an article, I think at Thoroughbred Times or Thoroughbred Daily Times, something like that, that you had done when you made your comeback. And people are familiar with your struggles. But one thing I found in there kind of interesting, you had mentioned that you were getting all kinds of crazy phone calls from like the animal rights people. Do you find it ironic that people who are worried about the concern for a dog or a cat or a fish are making threatening calls against humans?
Well, that's PETA. That's them in general. They don't, I've said this for years, they don't love animals, they hate people. And that's their kick. That's what they like. That's what their end game is. I mean, I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this. I'm sure I'll get some backlash from this, but I'm pretty sure, don't they kill more animals than everybody?
Yeah, I did read something along those lines from like the euthanizing animals that don't get adopted and
cats
that
and
sort
dogs
of
and all that. Yeah. So how much can you love them if you're just killing them?
Yeah. Well, I always find it ironic when I read something like that you got people who are mad and threatening to take your dog, but they're also threatening to take your life, and it's like, okay, we humans, we have domain over animals, and quite frankly, we probably treat them infinitely better than they would be in the wild, and yet they're telling you if you don't cut it out, we're coming for you, which I find amazing.
That's the funny part about the racetrack. They want to shut us down, but most of the horses on the backside are treated better than some of the help, to be honest. I mean, I hate to say that, but and the help, I mean, honestly, they are.
They're probably treated better than you too.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I mean, I've been pretty fortunate. I'm not going to say that. Oh, to PETA, probably, yeah, but yeah. Yeah, PETA definitely, yeah, they said they were taking me out to hearing, and I had extra security and all that stuff. So, yep, that was a fun time.
I'm sure.
So you mentioned when you first started riding. So what is the difference when you first started riding? Like, what are the little things you're doing that you had to learn? Okay, I can't do that.
Are you talking about when I came back or when I first started?
Yeah, when you first came back.
Okay.
What was the difference? Like, what did you notice that you were doing that was kind of holding you back a little bit or not getting you those wins?
I wouldn't say holding me back. It's just you don't ride. To me, I'm a confidence rider. The more confidence I give the horse confidence, and things work out better when you look at a race in front of you and you have confidence. You go for those holes. You know when you want to do it. You know your timing. You know all that stuff. When you don't have that, you second guess yourself. And to me, on a racetrack, second guessing yourself's worse than just going for it for the most part. Now, one thing I had to get used to was a new hisser rule, only hitting 6 times, and then all the fines that came with that. I thought that was going to be. It started off a little rough. I mean, I actually had to physically count how many times I was hitting, but then I started getting a plan together where normally I come off the turn, off the quarter pole, hit twice left-handed, switch right-handed, and then save the last 2 for whatever side I felt I needed. And that was my 6.
So you don't have to count anymore. It's just the same thing every time.
Yeah. I've always kind of ridden that kind of way. I just could hit more before, but I always hit off the quarter pole left-handed to get that lead change and drift a little bit maybe.
Now, how hard is it and how different is it when you've been riding Delaware pretty much full time? When you do the nights when you go to Penn National for a race or two, how much different and how much harder is that?
No, it's no difference.
No different with the track with riding or anything?
No difference. They're all the same rules now. So it's a mile oval. That's it.
Anything different or any secrets for the bettors for Parks this Saturday?
What's it?
That they should be playing?
Am I at Parks this Saturday?
No, you're not. You're not. I'm just saying in general with the track.
At this point, I'm in a bubble. I pay attention to my family, the horse I ride, and Delaware Park. I don't. To be honest, when I was retired, I didn't watch. The only races I watched were because I was going down and working horses for Pecoraro once a week. Those are the only races I watched. When I'm not in them, I don't really pay a whole lot of attention.
Yeah, I was actually expecting to see your name because I joke because I asked you about Penn Mile Day and you said you didn't have business like that, but like we're talking about, your business is definitely picking up.
Well, it's picking up, but you still got to remember, and I've been very fortunate to come back, but could you imagine being a trainer and going to your owner and saying, yeah, he's, fighting addiction, alcohol, and been off 3 years. Put on $1 million race. They ain't going for that. That's a hard push. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying that won't have, if I had somebody like Graham Motion, I'd win a couple stake for him with a nice filly. He goes to bat for him. Pecoraro maybe comes up with a good horse, but that's a hard push, especially when you got these young kids that can ride. I mean, they can ride.
Mm-hmm. Well, winning will cure everything, as they say, right?
I was going to say,
winners bring winners. That's why
next year you're still riding. You're winning at 20%. You'll have mounts in the PA Mile and the PA Derby.
We'll see. I'm getting through Delaware right now. I got small goals.
One day at a time, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So JW wants to know: does whipping the horse help the horse go faster, or what's the purpose of the whip? Many jockeys say just to get the horse's attention again.
Right. Usually, now I've had horses in the past that really enjoy getting smacked on. I mean, they really do. They really run faster. I would say that's few and far between. Mostly it's to focus them. You hit them to make them go, okay, this is when I run. This is when I take off. It's not hurting them by any means, but it gives them that extra incentive this time, to get down and dirty.
I know with my dog, when we play, the rougher I get, the more she gets involved in playing. So I can imagine with a horse, when you let it know, hey, let's go, it's all right, it's time to go. Jeffrey Doyle says, what is your daily routine? Are you a 4:30 in the morning guy?
That depends what day it is. If I'm back here with my family and I'm going down to Delaware Park, I'll leave here at 2:30 in the morning to drive down there and be on horses by around 6. If I'm down there, then I stay with my old agent, Kid Breeden. And I'll get up about 5:30ish, go to the track, do my rounds. If I have workers, Mace sends me the times, where to be, this and that, and then go to my second office, which is the hot box.
Got to lose the weight, huh?
You got to get the weight off.
Unfortunately, I remember that from wrestling days. God, I hated that. I was so happy the last day wrestling was over. I'm like, I'm never going to diet again. And then I got old and go, gosh, darn it, I got to diet again.
One of my best friends, well, it actually is my best friend, Nate, and I were talking about that a couple of days ago. I said, you missed that part? He said, nope, not a little bit. He says, you've been doing it for an extra 20 years. I said, yeah, it's no fun.
No, it can't be any fun. So how do you manage? Do you calorie count? Do you just get on the scale? How do you manage that?
I pretty much eat one meal a day. I'll check my weight to see what I can kind of eat. You know, when I come back home, Sunday's kind of my cheat day. We cook a good meal. Monday, I'll kind of ease back a little bit more, and Tuesday, depending on, if I'm in heavy, then I can eat and drink, all that stuff. If I'm in light, then pretty much not too much eating. Chicken. If we don't have our midget, we eat salmon. She's not gonna eat salmon, which helps, but that's pretty much it. It depends on what horse I am in with which weight.
So a cheat day. Tell us your cheat day. What's the ideal Jeremy Rose cheat menu?
We like to have like spaghetti and tacos, and my wife's looking at me right now, asking, trying to see what I'm doing. And what? Manicotti, yes, manicotti. Pretty much Italian stuff. Heavy pasta.
I couldn't live without pizza, man. I would be dead.
Well, do you still have the pizza shop?
Yeah, it's still there, and it's funny though, when you worked in a pizza shop, like I have no real interest in pizza anymore. I used to love pizza, but I've heard that in fast food too. McDonald's, like if you work at McDonald's, you don't want anything to do with fast food. So,
I tell you what, I used to love McDonald's. Now I have a 4-year-old that's all he wanted is McDonald's, and I don't want McDonald's anymore.
Right. Yep.
I kind of do get that.
We try to eat as healthy as we can here. I mean, I think that's the reason people are getting so big, is it's so much cheaper to eat unhealthy than it is to eat healthy. So much more expensive.
Absolutely. You head off to the Whole Foods, it's a lot different than the local grocery store. But I think a lot of that, everything's expensive now. So not much you can do about it. Now, I remember when eggs were like 99 cents or 89 cents. You can't buy one egg for 89 cents now.
We go to the store for one day's dinner. We're spending $50, $60, $70.
So that's got to give you more motivation to win the mounts that you got, huh?
Well, that's the good part of racing, is if you can win races, you're going to make good money. If you don't, you're not.
So how far out do you start looking at your entries?
Me personally?
Mm-hmm.
I go pretty much day to day. Like I looked at entries for today. Actually, I looked for today on Monday just because I didn't have the option to have a hot box or anything like that. So I already know what I got to wait tomorrow. So that's already done. And then tomorrow I'll look at the next day.
All right. Shawn, I'm sorry I interrupted you. It's what I do.
No, it's okay. So how long do you get there before the races start to go in the hot box?
Well, that depends on my weight.
Okay.
I have a scale here at the house. I'll go in. Our breaks, I think, 8:30 and 9. So I'll go see a bunch of people, and then during the break, I'll go up to the jocks room, see what I weigh. Then I'll figure out how much I got to pull. A lot of times I just stay in the jocks room. I just, instead of driving back to kids, I just stay in the jocks room. I may go in the box for a half hour. I might be in there for 2 hours. Just depends on what weight and how much I got to pull.
And then do you hang out for the whole race card, or as soon as your mount's done, you're out of there?
Actually, it's funny you say that. They actually have bets in Maryland on how fast I'll be out of the shower. I'm out. I rinse, wash, and get out, and then I'll go home and take a real shower.
So you should look at which line is the longest. So it's like plus 200 for an hour. You should put all your day's winnings on it and stay for an hour.
Yeah, right. Well, somebody actually tried to get me to do that. They told me, do 45 seconds, we'll split it. So I'm not saying 45 seconds. I'm out of here.
That's funny.
Seems like every jockey I ask, that's the answer. They're out of there as soon as their mounts are done.
There's some I watch. There's one day a jockey was messing with me, so I said, I'll wait around for you because not in a bad way. He was just messing around. So I got a bucket full of cold ice water. I'm sitting there for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'm like, don't you have a home to go to? Like, I want to get out of here. I mean, some just stay in there and just socialize, and that's what they do. And some are like me, they just want out. Just get out of the jockey room and go home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's your workplace, and
Right.
I know our workplace. You want to get the hell out of there. It's.
Yep.
Do you have any mounts tomorrow that are really
I'm not
worth
sure.
the bettor's interest?
I got 2, the 5th and the 8th. Clyde Martin's horse is kind of a long shot, but she's been working right along. So if I had to go for a money bet, which I don't bet obviously, but that's probably the one. I mean, I think the horse is going to run its race. Is it good enough? I don't know. It's first timer against other horses, so you never know.
I'm going to tell you something about Delaware Park that you probably don't know. We do our daily pick shows, and we did Delaware Park, and we're doing it up against like Saratoga and Santa Anita and Del Mar. So you'd expect more people to watch the shows when we do like Del Mar or Saratoga and so forth. So we did Delaware Park on a Wednesday, and we're hundreds of people showing up. We're like, wow, this is awesome. We didn't know why. You're very much a fan favorite in Turkey on Wednesdays. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Turkey?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah. So what happens apparently over there? They're allowed to bet in domestic tracks, but they're not allowed to bet outside the country. They allow like 2 or 3 tracks a day, from what I understand. I'm just relaying what I was told from somebody over there. And on Wednesdays, one of the tracks that's allowed is Delaware Park. So maybe I don't know if there's like a way to say, like if you're on a camera or something like that, maybe how in Turkish to say thanks. Yeah, give them. I'm telling you, if you give a shout out in Turkish, you're going to be the most popular American jockey in Turkey ever.
Well, it's good to have fans. I like it when I have fans. So I'm glad they're happy.
Mm-hmm. They love the track too. Right,
And
Shawn?
you'll get messages like I do. Hey, best friend. Hey, this. Hey, they're very nice with their messages, and you get like 15 of them for like 2 sentences. So
nice.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked about that. So what sort of things are you doing to keep yourself kind of focused and concentrated so that you can keep moving forward one day at a time?
Well, I've been very fortunate. The trainers that I used to ride for helping me get back, and they've also, a couple of them, like Lily Claceris and Stevie K, and Pecoraro, he changed his whole work day for me. It gives me a chance to come back here Sunday afternoon, spend time with Britt and Harper. Then I don't have to be back down there until Wednesday. And if I'm not riding, but right now I got plenty of business to ride every day. But if I don't have anything to ride, my agent will cover me where I can come back and spend more time with the family, which is a good regrouping and keep yourself focused.
Absolutely, for sure.
Too much time on my hands is a bad thing.
Yes, what they say, idle hands is a devil's workshop, right?
Yep.
So when if you continue to win at 20%, are you said you're in a bubble? Would you stay at Delaware? Is that your plan? Or are you kind of hoping to find some of that Fleet Alex glory again?
Nope. I'm happy. Nope. I mean, if, like I said, if Pecoraro came up with a good horse, or Stevie K, or Mikey G, Tim Ritchie, they came up with a good horse, I mean, obviously I want to ride it, but being realistic, it's hard to push somebody that's got the background I have, that's been out for 3 years. I mean, you keep in mind, the trainers see me every day. I look fit, I look healthy, this and that. The owners don't see that. The owners are going, hold on here. This is a grade $1 million race, and we're 5-2. Let's get IRAD. So that's our push, right?
Mm-hmm. I understand.
It's being realistic. It really is.
Like Jimmy Johnson said, of course I give favoritism to the stars.
Right. I mean, my goal coming into starting Delaware was to win 40 races in the year, not just at Delaware, at the year. And I think I'm at, 34, 35, something like that. I might get 40 just at Delaware. So My expectations are being met. I'm good.
I would say though too, they see the name, and I would think some owners would like bettors. I mean, your horses get bet just because people are seeing Jeremy Rose as a board. When you first came back, for example, you really got bet, and I could tell the first couple of days, obviously after having years off, you were struggling a little bit, like you just didn't have the horses and stuff, but you were getting bet.
Well, that's the problem. I rode a couple for Pecoraro, Penn National, and the one was absolutely live. The other one, not really. But what they were thinking was, oh, Jeremy's back. He knows his horse. This horse is going to win by 10. No, I was trying to get fit and get the rust off. I was just trying to ride some horses before Delaware opened. And Delaware the same way. The first couple days, I won the first one, and then I think I was offered. Like, there were days I'd go 2 or 3 days without him out. And that's when Mason and I talked, like, Mason, was this a bad decision? He's truthful. He says, I don't know. He says, we're not getting a lot of horses in. They want to see you ride. Make sure you still ride. And it's hard to show somebody you can still ride if you don't have the horses that you could be in contention with. You know what I mean? You can't be last by 50 and they go, oh, he could ride. No, he's all the way back. He's out of the camera shot. So it's a building process. And, like I said, I've been lucky. Mikey G, Tim Ritchie, Graham Motion, Stevie K, Pecoraro, all, gave me another shot. I mean, Graham Motion, my second horse I rode for him, I went 100,000 for him. So, and anytime you're on a horse for Graham Motion, it doesn't matter if it's 10-1, 30-1, or 1-5. People notice that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a top-notch trainer for sure.
Yeah.
Well, at this stage of the career, what do you prefer to ride? I know you're winning at both of them. Do you enjoy the turf more or the dirt more?
I enjoy the turf if I have a turf horse. That's the big deal with turf horses. And a lot of people, the jockey will ride a horse and they'll say, oh, they handle the turf. The problem with that is a lot of horses handle the turf. You have to get faster on the turf. So if they don't move up on the turf, they're not really a turf horse. But turf is so much, it's more of a tactical race for a rider. I think the rider brings a little bit more to the game on the turf race, but you don't have to worry about the kickback or all that stuff. I mean, I love the turf race. If you have a good turf horse, turf is awesome.
Can you rewind that a little bit? 1 second. You mentioned that if they move forward, they have to move forward on the turf in order for them to be a good turf horse. So
right.
Does that mean like if your horse is normally 5th or 6th coming at the quarter pole, the half-mile marker, he moves up closer to the lead, or what do you mean exactly by that?
What I mean by that,
all of us bettors want to know.
They literally, the horses have to run faster. So when you go from dirt to turf, you have to run faster. You usually have to have some kind of closing kick. If you run the same race on the dirt that you do on the turf, you're going to get beat. You have to move up on it.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. And do you find that, and this is something I've looked at, it seems to be some correlation, horses that do well on off dirt, sometimes that's an indication of a horse that can do all right on the grass?
Yeah, it's a tighter track. A lot of horses I've noticed over the years is it's not a matter that a turf horse can't handle the dirt so much as they don't take well to the kickback. When they get that stuff in that mud in their face, that's an issue a lot of times. But yeah, on a sealed track, turf horses tend to do good as long as they can take the dirt in their face if they have to. I mean, if they're a speed horse, they don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I think that's the big difference.
So one thing Maggie Wolfendale told us about, and have you noticed this as well? She mentioned that horses that run on the dirt better, I don't remember if I have this backwards or not, so I'm sure you'll be correcting me, but their hooves tend to be flatter. Or like the ankle, or there's some angle, but she also mentioned the horses that run on the turf better, you can see like their hoof is at an angle. Have you found that to be the case?
I can't really speak on that part. I can't give you that information. I know a lot of times turf horses have those big flat feet.
So the turf does better on the flat foot then?
A big foot. Like, I mean, a lot of times if you look at a horse's feet and they're big old frying pans and they're flat, they tend to do good on turf, yeah.
All right, so we're always interested in that body. Like Shawn is always interested in like the physical attributes.
Makes sense. Is it, well, if you have a small foot, you're probably cutting down into the turf, which makes it harder, more strenuous to get bumped out, where the other ones run on top of the turf, I guess.
Like a snowshoe.
Right, exactly. That's the only thing.
I'm interested because that's the part that I haven't been able to pick up yet. And it amazes me how some of these reporters can wait from a horse that they saw 3 months ago, and oh, this horse is more fit today. It's this, it's that, and they just pick up on all these things. And I see I feel like a million horse races a day, and watching replays and everything else, and I'm not picking up on that stuff as much. Maybe it's because I'm not in person. I probably started going to the track when I was probably like 8 years old.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you need to go there personally a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not in person, so maybe it's that. I mean, I pick up on how they act and stuff like that. It's funny, the amateur, even my girlfriend will say, oh, the ones that's acting up she really likes, but it's actually the other way. You don't want to play the horses that are really acting up.
Me personally, I like a horse that's relaxed more than anything else. They seem to be the ones that finish better. They're the easier ones to ride for the most part. Don't get me wrong, especially when it comes to fillies. Fillies have to have an attitude to be a good horse. I've never been on a filly that was just laid back and calm and just did everything. And they have to, like Haverty Gray, she used to try to drop me every time I work her. I mean, I think they need that. I think the fillies need that.
So you got to have a little bit of attitude.
Right? Absolutely. Yep.
So have you ever been on a horse that broke through the gate and then subsequently won the race?
I probably could count that on one hand.
So why don't those horses always get scratched then?
What's that?
I said, so why don't, for bettors, when I see the horse break through the gate, I'm like, oh no. And then most of the time you don't get a time to go cancel your bet. Right. And when you do, you're like, oh, you're thankful that you do. I'm curious, why don't they scratch those horses? Because they pretty much, everybody knows they have no shot to win.
They know that, but the thing is, if there's no injury to the horse, what's the vet going to say? I'm going to scratch the horse because the bettor's not going to be happy? And you go back and tell the trainer and owner that?
Yeah, well, I guess not. But if the trainer, the thing is, if the bettors aren't happy, then that's the customer at the end of the day.
Listen, when Barbaro broke through the gate in the Preakness that day, I was next to him. I sat in the gate and I told the gate guy, I said, this whole race just changed. Didn't expect to happen what would happen at all, but I didn't think he'd run his race after that.
Yeah, I've always found that kind of interesting. And then they had the Breeders' Cup where they did scratch him and they put him back in, and he won anyway. But that one didn't really break because the gate guy opened the gate and let him out. Anyway, sorry, Shawn.
No, I would say nowadays too, most people are playing with their phone or computer that they have enough time to just go in and cancel that bet right away. So I think that's, more bettor's discretion there. But as far as injury, I do think they should do that. Do you ride a horse different when they act up in the gate, or are you more cautious coming out of the gate?
No, I try. If I have a horse that acts up in the gate, you hope you have a good gate guy. That's a huge plus. Hopefully you. A lot of times, at least in Delaware, I have pretty good gate guys, and they're all on looking. If the horse acts up, they try to get somebody behind us to grab us to get us out of the way. Best thing you do, stay quiet. Just stay quiet. Be calm, relax. And even when you're calm and relaxed, your reaction time is better. So there's no point tensing up. You're just going to make the horse more tense. You're going to be more tense. You might as well just relax. Whatever comes.
You touched on a subject there. I've heard other jockeys on and off the camera here say when they get to the gate and they get their assistant starter, they know right away that they might have lost the race if it's a bad one. Do you ever have that moment where you're like, I got the wrong guy, person?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far where if I see this guy, okay, I'm screwed. Let's get off the horse, just go home. But there are definitely 2 or 3 that I look for to walk out to me because I know if I have them, I'm in good shape. I mean, I don't think that unless he's a horrible starter, I don't see, what are they going to do? Grab my rein while I leave there? I mean,
and you don't find out until you go to the gate, right?
Right. Yeah. When we get to the gate, I'll start looking to see who's taking which horses and waiting to see which one's mine. But again, there's definitely a couple at Delaware that I want, but I don't think there's anyone at Delaware I'd say, oh, well, I'm beat right now.
And right now, every one of them in Delaware think it's him or her.
Probably, yeah. You're probably right. Oh, he loves me. Oh, he hates me.
Yeah. We won't name them. We'll keep them to be anonymous. So everybody can be whichever side they want to be on. So are you a horse talker or not? Do you talk to them or not?
Oh yeah. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Horses are like people. Some are asses, some aren't. So Get along as best you can.
I see, for sure, Shawn. Any so what do you tell the horse that's being an ass? They cut it out, or do you just be firm? Is it tone? What is it?
Well, yeah. A lot of times I'll scream at them, get their attention a little bit. Choice words, of course. I mean, that's jockey language. So, but yeah,
they react to it.
Oh, some do. Yeah, absolutely. They know when you're in your voice and everything. They may not understand what you're saying, but they know in your tone. They know what you're feeling.
So Robert Bryan says you make a good pizza. So the folks that
well, that's good.
Let's go ahead and what's the name of the pizza place? So when folks are in the area, they can come in and they can get some pizza that Jeremy doesn't eat.
It's called Gus's Pizza. It's in Lewistown, PA. Gus's
Pizza in Lewistown, PA. So when you're there, stop in and ask for what's the special there, Jeremy. If you were to eat pizza, which kind would it be?
Babe, what's our special? I have no idea. We always have one, but it'll be on the website and all that stuff.
Fantastic. Well, make sure if you're in the area, you support Jeremy. Get yourself a great pizza. Shawn, any final thoughts before we roll?
Just the fun. I always like having Jeremy on. I always talk to Jeremy whenever I can, and just wish you nothing but success and keep doing your thing.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing you, as Shawn said, at the Pennsylvania Derby next year.
Talk to you later.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too.
All right. Oh, Shawn, I messed up.
Wow, you did it. Oh, man.
Out of.
Jamie hasn't done that one time since like day one, man.
Well, she's a lot smoother than I am at that kind of stuff, Shawn. That's what can I say?
No, you know what? You give me a break every now and then. And you just make yourself the big head, is what I say.
Yes, because that's what I need to do. All right. So anyway, if you haven't done it before we head to the news, make sure you head on over to the parlay of the day. I know the professor didn't do so well yesterday. How are the Red Sox doing today, Shawn? Are they winning by 2 in the game? Going to go over 6.5?
No, they are down 4-1.
So they got a lot of hitting to do. So if you didn't play the professor today, maybe come back tomorrow, because the man does win. As you can see, he's up 3.75 units for a 28% ROI on the parlay of the day. There is a link in the description below. Make sure you hit it. And while you're here, follow us on all of our social sites at Horse Race, the number 2 day, Horse Race today. And while you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends about us. We appreciate that. Want to say thank you to Robert Bryan, Adam Bowman, Beverly Taylor. Thank you, Honey Bunny, and Terry T.D. Houghton for the thumbs up on Facebook. And now Steve Goodrich, too. Thank you, Steve. We appreciate the support. Of course, we couldn't do anything without folks watching us, right, John?
Right. And Adam Bowman, I put a post on today. He's been a Parks regular for a little while. He rides his first grade 1 race on Saturday. So he's excited for that. So
I can't
good to see some of the local riders. You know, it's always nice. I mean, look how Tyler Connor did Penn Mile Day. It's always nice to see some of the local riders on Saturday, and hopefully they win a couple of those races.
Yeah, I think if I'm a horse owner and I have like a guy who's making money or a girl who's making money for me every day, and I'm at one of those races, and and I feel like my horse has a chance, I'm gonna let them ride the horse personally. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, they're the ones that, the old saying, they brought you to the dance.
Yeah, and I mean, you can look at it one of two ways, depending, how much you think a jockey helps the horse or not. If it's less than what you think, then it's a good chance the horse still ends up in the winner's circle. And then the other part of it, I always look for jockeys that are common with the horse. If a jockey's rode that horse multiple times, I always think that's more of a favorable situation than somebody coming out of town and riding it for the first time.
I would think so, but I would absolutely want to see right here.
Plus
you were born and birthed for the Reds game today. Was he at the Reds game today?
Probably. He does go to goes to Bengals games too. So
poor
big
guy.
Cincinnati sports.
0-2, yes. We lost to the Dackless Dallas Cowboys. Oh my God! And you know what? One of us actually picked the Cowboys to cover.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did. That was the overreaction game.
And it was the overreaction, and we talk about it. And I still don't like it.
W is a W, my friend.
No. But it's funny how the public does overreact to the injury of one player, and usually you do get good value there.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see if there's any good value again starting tomorrow night, NFL, Shawn and I, and Jared. And then on Friday we'll be back. Tomorrow there's a Thursday night game. We'll tweet it out. It'll be on our social sites. Friday we'll be back to cover the slate of Sunday games. if Jared, I told Jared I'm going to have his wife take him away every Friday, considering how well we did last Friday. So let's see if we can do
How
that.
well you did. You did really well.
I have always weeks like that every year, though, Sean, right? I mean, last year I had a bunch of them, too, where I would go 4-1, 5-0. All right, so let's talk about Kentucky Racing Agency approves the sale of Ellis Park to Churchill Downs. The folks at Arlington would like to have a word with you. What do you think about that, Sean?
Yeah, and I mean, everybody sees that, and right away they're like, oh, no, what's going to happen to Ellis now? And I mean,
it's like Iron Maiden, run for the hills, baby.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's the history. I don't think that's the plan here, but no one really knows besides Churchill.
Well,
so.
they did say they're planning on investing something like $79 million or $75 million in addition to the purchase price, because there was the previous owners had committed like $100 million to the Ellis property, but it didn't work. So they were frustrated, the Kentucky Racing Board, and that's why they went ahead and approved the sale to Churchill. We'll see now. I just hope that land is not more valuable as a football stadium or a condominium park. If it is, yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
We definitely want to see less trucks.
Yeah, well, that might actually be a little consolidation. Might necessarily be a bad thing, Sean. But then again, we see news like this out at Emerald Downs again, where we see that the gains in the handle and then the purses. You do see that last year the season handle of $67 million was down just 2% from the previous year, but still up 15% from the pre-COVID in 2019. But on-track wagering saw a major boost in 2022, a whopping 32% increase. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's good. And you know what I like about Emerald? I always like Emerald is, they'll start at like 10 o'clock Eastern time. So everything else is ending or pretty much done, and they're just getting their full card started. I think it kind of sets them apart. If you want thoroughbred racing late at night on Friday, Saturday night, whatever they're running, it's always good. So, and I think they're another track. They're doing things on the up and up like it shows. I mean,
yes,
you see pretty full crowds there too.
Friends of the show, Alex Cruz captured his record-tying third consecutive Emerald Downs riding championship with 90 wins. And trainer Jorge Rosales won his first Emerald title with 36 wins. So congratulations to the both of them. Let's see if they can go 4 for Alex next year and 2 for Jose. Finally, Let's talk a little bit about NYRA. Hive, I guess that's some hacker group. I don't know. It must be the black hats and the white hats. Sounds to me like it's a black hat group. They hacked NYRA. NYRA says it didn't get to NYRA bets or any of the the horse racing side of things. It was more employees and so forth. It took them a while to announce that news, Sean. I would say, and again, you can only go by what the press release says, but if you have one of those accounts, I'd certainly pay close attention to your credit cards and all the stuff that's on file, because they did get credit card information. They did apparently get social security numbers and all that sort of stuff. The link is in the article there. They do say if you have a NYRA account, anything associated with horse racing was not touched, but I still think there's it's better to be safe than sorry, and be cautious. If you have one of those accounts, just keep an extra eye out on your credit card that you have on file, right?
Yeah, definitely. You never know. I mean, and you should always pay attention to your credit cards too, to see what purchases are on there, because most nowadays, if you notice a purchase shouldn't be there, you call them up and they'll stop it right away. You just got to do it in a timely manner. So it's always a good idea to check those every couple of days.
And my understanding is what they try to do is to try to run a 2 or 3 or 6 cent charge or something like that through to see if anybody says anything. And if it goes through, then you'll see the big whopper. I actually got Pizza Guy took my identity one time, bought himself some furniture, car insurance and stuff. And I figured out who it was, went to the police, and they told me, do you know this person? I said, no. They said, well, then there's really nothing we can do. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, that would be different. What? I've only ever had it happen once, and that I was, checking an account, and we had a train ride or something like that, transportation. And I was like, what train did we take? We didn't take any train. So I called them up, and they canceled it right away. So it was really odd.
Yeah, it can be weird. Sometimes, too, it can just be an error, right? It's possible. I don't know how, but, technology is imperfect, so it can become errors from time to time. But no errors tonight, Sean, I don't think. I think we had a flawless show.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jeremy's always fun to have it on. He'll tell you exactly like it is. So Awesome.
And I'm glad we had a flawless show tonight because I wasn't sure watching the races today at Churchill Downs if I read the right program or not. Got a couple races right, but was way off on a few others. Some huge prices coming in there. So tomorrow we'll try to do a little bit better than that, a whole lot better at Belmont at the Big A. I have to think for a moment to remember the name. That file causes me all sorts of problems, Shawn, and sure to cause you some problems tomorrow with the Belmont at the Big A. But Charles and I will be back to tackle that tomorrow night. Shawn, myself, and Terry and Tom, the Players Edge crew, will be together with FanDuel/TVG/ Shawn's new colleague, Rich Perloff, to cover the Pennsylvania Derby, along with a couple of other races. The other $1 million race, that'll be at 9:30. You're not going to want to miss that, so make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on the social media sites. Hit the bell so when we go live, you're notified. Friday, for Foreign Fridays, Tom and I will head out to Newmarket. I think it's called Newmarket in England. They have a couple of win and you're in Breeders' Cup races. That should be a lot of fun. And I believe you'll see Eddie C. and Chris P. I finally got it right. Cover Belmont at Aqueduct or the Big A again for their spot plays on Saturday. So still plenty left, Shawn. I know you get sad when it's Wednesday night. Grab the tissues. But you'll be back next Monday with the irreplaceable Jamie Martinez. And what do you guys have on tap for next week?
So next Monday we have jockey John McKee. He's been around for a while, plenty of victories, so he'll have plenty to say. And then Tuesday we have Blood Horse assistant editor, and she also does some exercise riding for John Ortiz. Molly Rollins will be on. And then Wednesday we have jockey Keeper Koa. So another great week lined up.
Another wonderful week with Shawn and Jamie. I look forward to seeing those shows as well. That wraps us up for today. Shawn, any final thoughts before we get up and get out of here?
No, that's it. Another fantastic show. We'll keep doing this. And then Monday, too, keep paying attention for the Jockey Survivor.
Yes, make sure
I'll start Monday. I'll keep.
It'll be at 11 o'clock. You have to have your pick at 11 o'clock Eastern?
Yeah.
Not yet. There has to be a deadline. Not yet.
Yeah. Some people give it a little later, but as long as it's before the first race, if you don't do that, then I can't help you. I'm a little too flexible, and then it gets me in trouble. So, yes. Get those picks in Monday morning.
Get them in Monday morning. Keep an eye. Shawn will keep you up to speed on all of that in the social media sites. Till we get together again, Shawn, tomorrow night, Charles and I tomorrow, no matter what it is you do between here and there. We certainly hope that it can only end up in one place, Shawn, and I wonder where he's been. Our good friend, Jay Marco's
Winner Circle.
Absolutely. Have a fantastic night. Thanks for joining us again.